today. So we're a gold Salesforce partner. Our specialization is the building products and construction industry. I am personally a lead AP, licensed professional engineer, and spent a long time in the industry. My last quote-unquote real job before I launched the Hunley Group 9 years ago was as chief marketing officer of a building envelope company. We did below-grade waterproofing. We competed with Grace, and I saw pre-proof on a lot of projects. So you guys are very close to wheelhouse for us in background. In the 9 years since I launched that business, we have added a lot of building product companies as clients. This is a sampling. There are more that just wouldn't fit on the screen here. We also work on the AEC side of the world. Turner Construction is a Salesforce client for us. We work with Structure Tone, Brasfield and Gorey, lots of other big GCs like that, etc. So there we go. That's a quick background on us. Now let's switch it around here. Just close this one out. And I'll give you a quick look here at how we think about and approach the commercially specified construction world within Salesforce. And I'm going to talk about it on the project side first. I'll flip over to the CEU and specifier education side in just a minute and show you that as well. If I think about the process that I go through from start to finish with sourcing a project, first of all, very often I am going to find it in one of the databases, and generally clients are going to pick Dodge or Construct Connect. A few clients actually have both. Some folks target the industrial side as well, so Industrial Info Resources is a source that we've built into Salesforce. Dodge and Construct Connect both have direct integrations into Salesforce. We don't actually like them. We think they're actually not as efficient. We love the databases. We don't like their Salesforce product as well. We think there are more optimal ways to do it. So we built an integration of our own there. You could use their tools. We just think you're going to have a more efficient experience doing a little bit differently. So that gets the data into Salesforce, and then we're going to step through in the way you typically would. First is an efficient and clean way to qualify that project. Make sure that you are getting full share of wallet. You're a company with a lot of different product lines, so if something shows up specified, chances are that you've got another bite or two at the apple for different product lines that are maybe not specified, or where you can submit a substitution request. So obviously from your searches, you're probably looking for your own products, but you're looking for the bad guys as well. So substitution is something we automate out. That's a paperwork storm usually. We put it all into Salesforce database, the documentation in there. So a substitution request becomes a one-click process, and the architect's in your CRM database, which is nice to have. Next thing down the line, if you're working with subcontractors to install your product, and I think in general you guys would be, you want to get those leads out to your channel. Sometimes they're going to know about them, but often not, and they do appreciate leads, and you appreciate having them chase everything that you work so hard to produce in the spec to earth and hopefully get closed on that project. These days when the market is hot and contractors are busy, a lot of leads get ignored. So we do have built in the last couple of years some processes to confirm that that sub is actually going to commit to doing takeoffs and quoting the project before they actually get the full lead details. So they have to click to accept it before they get anything more than a teaser. And then at the end of the process, we want to know what happened. In general, most projects, the materials are distributed through channel, so you don't see the specific sales, and those subs are not going to come back to you and let you know what happened. They're not going to go to the manufacturer on each project. So anything that was captured as a lead and was distributed, we have an automated process that sends a list email out once a month with, here's all the projects we've sent you, what's the status? Have you converted any of these to a win? If you lost on them, why'd you lose? So we know what happened there if your product did not end up getting selected. All right, so there's the flow. Let's take you into Salesforce and show you what this looks like in Salesforce. I'm going to zoom in a bit here on the screen, so get a little bit better resolution. All right, so if I am looking at my feed, and this is just a general aggregation screen here, and I'm an individual sales rep, on the left-hand side, let's say I walk in this morning, these are the new projects that showed up from Construct, Connect, or Dodge last night. And I can glance at these projects quickly here, and generally, a lot of the time, you can do a quick screen and say, well, this one's a false positive from the searches. We just don't find we have a whole lot of luck in K through 12. So I'm just gonna disqualify this project. But looking at these two, all right, these look good from the first pass perspective. Let's grab these and put these in pipe here and start working those. Okay, great. Now I've done that quick pass, I need to get into more detail on that qualification. Let's tuck into an individual project here. Now, first thing that is happening with that that Construct Connect or Dodge integration is not just pulling the project in, but we're also populating your database with the project team. So we're bringing in whatever members of the project team are relevant for you. Most folks are going to want the architect and the GC, probably the building owner. Some folks want the engineer as opposed, if they're an engineering specified product as opposed to an architecturally specified product. For you, maybe it's waterproofing consultant. There's a specialist that you want to bring in there. That's probably not going to show up in Dodge, but you want room to capture them and put them in here. That goes for the contacts as well. So we'll parse those out and add those in here under the project. And I get all that information chucked into my database, nice and clean and tight here. I didn't have to hand key any of this stuff in.
Can I interrupt, ask a question real quick?
Yeah, please.
Getting back to the previous screen on the because we are all consultant driven in the West Coast.
Yep.
And how would that work? Would we create our own database? So for example, in San Francisco, I have, probably a dozen consultants, and 4 or 5 of them are very busy. Would we sort of create our own database around those consultants and populate it like that, or how would you work that?
Yeah, so, let's say Wisjani is one of the folks that you're working with, and you're working with their local office there. 2 ways that can get into your database. First of all, I'm sure you got a legacy database of a lot of good contacts and companies, so you're going to import all that into Salesforce. So it's there, and it's appropriately attributed that here's all my waterproofing consultant, building envelope consultant folks in the database. When an individual project comes in, here's a consultant field. I'm going to come in here. Let's see, do I have WIS in here? I don't think so. No. Let's just pretend it's Gensler. Wouldn't be, but hey, that gives you an example. They're already in the database. If Construct, Connect, or Dodge did have them captured as a consultant, it would automatically pin them for you. Now, our experience with Dodge and Construct Connect is they usually don't go that deep. You're not going to get the specialty consultants in there. You're going to get the architect, probably going to get the engineer, and that's what you should expect. So these folks, you just add them manually to the project as you find out. And for us, if we're doing the qualification on this, we actually have an in-house team where we do this for a number of clients, where we do the qualification for them. And we're just running through these projects. The first thing we do is call the architect and confirm that Joe Architect is indeed the project manager, because the databases have it wrong about 1/3 of the time, we find. And at the same time, I probably ask them, hey, do you mind telling me who the building envelope consultant is on this project? Who you're working with? Because they're probably sub to the architect. So I might find it that way and add it. You know the drill. You've done this way more times than we have.
Okay, so. I just wanted to see if you had a position for them, which you do, so we can start filling things in that way. That's important to see. So thanks.
Yeah, absolutely. If I were to come in here and add an account, let's see if I get this one set up right. I don't have all the types in here, but the different categories of accounts, your channel, GCs, the specifier. If I come into the specifier, I'm going to parse that out by what their actual categorization is, or their landscape architect? Are they an interior designer? Are they full service architect? Whatever. So you have your database categorized and you can use it appropriately for targeting. Okay, good. Anything else on that? So should I keep trucking?
Rock and roll.
Okay, perfect.
So, yeah,
all right, so yeah, next thing that I'm going to want to do once I've spotted this project, so I'm going to want to dig in and see what the specs are. Now I'm in one of my demo orgs here, so I'm not directly plumbed to Construct Connect on this, but let me pop over and show you a project that is. So here's an example, and this is a Construct Connect integration. I'm bringing all my search mappings in here. So here's a project where more than one product has shown up in the search results. So I have both of those in here, and I can click into this search result and it'll hop me directly into CMD, and I am coming directly to the page in the spec where that specification is set. So that makes life a whole lot simpler and faster for me on the qualification perspective. The project showed up, it's right in front of me, I click through, I spot it, probably going to open up one of the plans and just make sure it actually made it in the building. You know the drill, architects are lazy. Just because it's in the spec doesn't mean it's actually going on the building. Okay, then I'm going to add my specified product lines from that. This gives me the search result. Now I want to add each one of those individual product lines in there. And let's just hop back to this one. It's a little cleaner to see here. And I can fully attribute this here. I can list the spec appropriately. Whoa, that didn't zoom very well. Sorry. So, you know, is it our spec, flat spec? Are we design basis? Is it competitors only, etc.? And then I've really fully categorized this particular specification, whatever product is showing up, whatever division I'm in and looking at. If the competition is listed, I can pull them in. So I have that data in there, which is usually useful information. I see who's getting spec'd and where and how they get spec'd, etc. If I want to substitute this out, then let's assume that this was a competitors only specification. Now, I've got this automation built into Salesforce, where as soon as I've identified where the bad guys are spec'd, I can automate my whole substitution process. So this pulls up all of the product categories where the bad guys are spec'd and I am not. So here I'm doing multiple at once. I'm going to generate my documentation. Here's my CSI format cover sheet. I've got my signature block down at the bottom. Architect information's all up here at the top because I've got that in there. I can download the appropriate documentation because what I've done in Salesforce is set up all of my products and what supporting documentation I need to support a substitution request. It is going to pull in my 3-part spec, my data sheet, whatever test materials I have, whatever is necessary to support a successful substitution here, which for me not only makes my life a whole lot faster, but it probably improves the quality of my substitutions because there's probably a number of sales reps on the team who maybe aren't completely awesome at substitutions and they don't always pull all the right documentation. So this is going to help improve your quality. Now click here, it's going to email it directly to the architect.
Quick question before you move on that. Sorry, this is Dan, I joined late. One of the, is it going to be something that each sales rep is responsible for setting up all the internal data for a substitution request, or is it something that we can do internally and disperse it amongst everybody?
Oh God, no, this is a master database. No, you don't want that happening. That would be awful. No, when we implement the system, that's part of the setup. We'll work with you to understand what all of your product lines are that you would be getting specified and or substituting. And you'd give us a database of all the documents and we'd load them up. If you got them all stored on a website, you don't want to maintain them in multiple places. Salesforce is capable enough to actually let you load just a link to an externally stored document. So you're sending that over, and what then appears to the architect is something that looks like this email. This is the one I just sent. So here's my cover sheets. Here's my supporting documents for product category number 1. Here's my supporting documents for product category number 2. I've kind of got some BS documents in there just so I have something for the demo work for it to work. So made up documents, but instead of attachments, which are going to tend to hit spam filters, these are links. So they download, and it's going to pull those documents directly from the source, whether that's Salesforce or some other lead source. So it's pretty smooth. The architect gets just what they need. They don't have to download anything. They can click to open just the ones that are relevant and interesting. Then they can validate it, and this email would come from whoever initiated this. So whoever owned that particular project was the one that submitted the subrec. So you hope the architect turns it around smartly, and you get an addendum in the return email. I get that addendum. I'm just going to drag that addendum in here to my supporting documents, so I have it documented. And now I'm good to go for the next step. So
will we get notification on a click through? I'm sorry. I don't know.
Yeah, you could.
The lag, but
yeah.
Will we get notification if they click through on it? So it's at least that they've looked at it.
Yeah, it can be set up that way. Just have to have your your website cookied appropriately.
Okay.
Yeah. So what we find, of course, as well, and this is set up this way, is to drop those substitution requests that are outstanding into a queue. Ideal world, every architect responds to everyone and says yes. Real world is they respond part of the time and give you a yes part of the time. So follow-up calls are definitely in order, and Salesforce helps stack these into a queue for you and reminds you, hey, it's been 3 days since you sent the subrec out, time to call the architect and see what's going on. So you can chase those to earth, get your answers, and then be ready to move on. Okay, any other questions on substitutions? All right, so let's show the project referral. Now, I am assuming, I think I recall that you guys go to market through distribution. Through distribution. They're working heavily with the contractors at the end to install products. So you're going to know who they are, and if you got a lead, you want to send it to them. So the next piece that we have built here is the ability to refer these projects out. You got multiple product lines that apply to different categories of subcontractors. You might want to break that up and say, all right, I'm just referring out these 2 products, and the database will filter to that category of of contractor, and I can click to send this to, let's see, I don't have that many set up here in this dummy database here, to a handful of contractors, and click again. Now I've sent the whole bundle out here to those particular contractors in my channel, and they get that teaser where they have to confirm to commit that, yes, I do actually want this project. Let's see, I don't think I was set up as a lead on those records, so I can't show that email, but that's okay. We'll keep moving here, just in the interest of speed. They get an email that has this little block in it for accept or reject. Yeah, sorry, not showing that on the screen. That would be helpful. They get an email that has this little block here, so they can accept or reject that lead. If they do, then they get the full bundle sent to them. Now you've updated the status here. You know you've sent this out to all those contractors, and now I'm in the waiting game and the follow-up game of figuring out what's happened with those leads. here's an example then of a follow-up lead, where in this particular case, this contractor had been referred 6 different projects that were still open, and each month this email is going to go out and just prompt them. Hey, what's up? What's the status? Did you win it? Did you lose it? Still working on it? You got any questions? They can click directly in here, and that will update Salesforce with all that status. So kind of removes a lot of the labor of follow-up with the contractors to find out what's going on, and gives you enough statistics so you get some insight into how you're performing out there.
And I think as again, this is Bill. Getting back to won it and lost it, there should be a third category, which we didn't bid it. Because sometimes just they may take a look at it and it's just not appropriate. They didn't bid it for whatever reason. Yep. But they don't win and lose everything. They probably only bid maybe even just a fraction of what would be sent to them.
Exactly. And we have that as an option. It's just not showing up in this particular demo.
Okay. Sounds good. Thank you.
Yep. We have another option for post your updates. So if they're working tightly with the company, and some companies, some of our clients do have to put together custom quotes for these, and they need to go back and forth, and that gives them an opportunity to do that too. Okay, so now we've been through kind of all the steps of a project lifecycle. When it comes on your radar, the discrete project, you can see how that works with Dodge. And let me see if I can find a quick example of something here where somebody leveraged this. So this is an example of the volume of substitution requests you can drive out of this. In this particular example, there's 3 inside sales reps driving the whole project, and they're able to generate on the order of 500 substitution requests a month through this process. This one's actually a Dodge integration. And then they're getting a success rate of about 100 projects a month. So scale that appropriately to your own numbers. And for us within Salesforce, this is something that I just love looking at, because I know this is demonstrable ROI. This would just be really, really hard to do without the CRM driving and automating all of this for you within system. Okay. So that's the specifications side. I'm about to flip over and look at the lunch and learn side, architect engagement and targeting. Any questions on the the project management side before I make the flip? Okay. All right, so I think I personally have lost count of the number of lunch and learns that I delivered back in the day, and I'll say, man, oh man, did I get tired of those paper sign-up sheets that I hand around. So a few years ago, we leaned in and built in the CEU registration directly into Salesforce. Once again, let's zoom in a little bit here. So what we done here, you have all your specifiers in the Salesforce database. I want to schedule a lunch and learn out there, or I could do this on the fly if I'm just walking in, whatever. I click here on that account, and it's going to pull up all of my courses here, and I'm going to just select one of my dummy courses here that's set up. I'm going to pick the date and the time that I'm going to deliver this lunch and learn. System's smart enough to know the AI restrictions are you can only deliver the same course once every 3 years to the same person. So if this course has been shown at this firm in the last 3 years, Salesforce will warn you before you proceed. And now I've got my event set up in Salesforce. Over here, you'll see a calendar event. This, if you are synchronized to Outlook from Salesforce, which essentially all of our clients are, that's going to automatically show up on your calendar now. So it'll block out the time for you, set your reminders appropriately. If you change the date in Salesforce, it'll move too, and that happens, right? The architects reschedule on you. Now, here's where the real power of this comes in. You see this little special one-time link here? This would have your name in it instead of Salesforce. It would be GCP here, but the link now opens up the sign-up form. So if you're in a room full of architects, you pull out your iPad, you click on the link, and you hand your iPad around the room. And each architect puts in their data. The interface that you're looking at here is actually Salesforce. This is Salesforce itself. If I'm going to submit that now, and I'm an architect, I've just clicked submit and I hand it to the person to my right. And ready to go. It's time for them to put in the next one. Now, it's smart enough to also deduplicate against your existing database. It'd be nice if you didn't jack the same person in over and over again. This is going to come in. Let's come back to our event and refresh. And there we go. You can see that I'm in there now, and it found my AIA number in Salesforce. It looks for the email address and the AIA number if your course is GBCI, IDCC. You guys aren't going to do IDCC, but now GBCI, maybe NSPE, whatever, it's going to look for those numbers in the database appropriately. So it minimizes duplication, and that person's added as a contact under Gensler now. We have features in here to support non-firm specific locations, because you're going to do an AIA you're going to do a lunch and learn at an AIA chapter. Sometimes you're going to do it at a trade show, some sort of events where you got people from multiple firms. We can handle that too. Okay, so now I've got all this in here. Now this, I'm going to begin to get, here's an example of the dashboards that come with this. Now, here now I have history of all the lunch and learns that I have conducted. Didn't have to do any data entry, anything to make this happen. That little lunch and learn tool just made it happen for you. I got all the architects that I've educated. I can look on year trends, see all sorts of information here. And finally, I've got this link here to download all the attendees from last month, so I can go upload it to the AIA, and I don't have to do those onesie-twosie uploads. No hand re-entering, none of that stuff. Oh, by the way, Salesforce also generates and emails the attendees their certificate. You give us your brand. Most clients have a self-branded certificate for lunch and learn attendance. So you give us your brand and we'll bake it into Salesforce, and it will generate a PDF of that attendance and email it to each of the participants 1 hour after the lunch and learn has ended. So this, whatever this time was here, here's the ending time. So 2 p.m. the email would go out and send everybody their attendance. Got some other stuff built in here for the inevitable cleanup. Somebody forgot their AIA number and they had to come back and get it put in after the fact. Fine, can handle that. Somebody forgot to sign up. Yes, we can add people manually after the fact. Sometimes the lunch and learn coordinator wants you to send the spreadsheet, then she'll fill it out in advance, and then you do roll when you come in. That is supported as well within it. So you have all that information in there, and let me see, I've got a slide here quickly. Show you targeting. Yeah, this is a good one. So the other thing that I'm going to use this for, you saw how all the specification side worked. You saw how all the lunch and learn side worked. Well, I'd like to marry the two and use it to drive my business more intelligently. So what I do here is, from all of those specifications that came in, I build a target architect list where those architects are specifying the bad guys and not me. So now I've really lasered in on firms that are producing relevant specs that are doing my kind of work. And I have also identified the low-hanging fruit for folks who are specifying the bad guy's product and not mine, so I can go in, schedule a lunch and learn, and then go try to sit with whoever owns the master spec there and get myself added to the master spec, so I get the gift that keeps on giving of now I show up in the spec. So there you go. That's the walkthrough of that piece of the kit. It's a lot more that we do with building product companies. I mean, a really long list. We wouldn't have the time here today, but that gives you a sense of the core stuff that we do on the commercially specified side of the world.